Good evening, good evening, good evening, my brothers and sisters. How are you doing this beautiful evening? We're at the first day of a new week. Thank the Lord for that. Come on in, brothers and sisters. You know it's dinner time, so come to the dinner table and get some of the good food for the soul. And while you're coming, go ahead and invite some more family members and friends to sit at the dinner table because you know I have quite a bit of food for the soul. And we never run out. We are normally it normally be an overflow because at the end of our dinner, you know, I always say take your care out plate. So that's what I'm asking you, brothers and sisters, tonight. Go ahead and invite some more family members and friends that haven't been here, possibly for a while. So just go ahead and do it because you know we got plenty of room. And not only that, if this is your first time at the dinner table, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Tony M. Tuma, and I talk about relationships. I talk about relationship, brothers and sisters, basically from a spiritual point of view. When I say spiritual point of view, I strongly believe when you go to the book of Genesis, God is the creator of everything, and therefore He's the creator of relationship. He started our relationships off with one man and one woman, that man being Adam, that woman being Eve. When God created Adam, he had a unique relationship with Adam. Then, secondly, he had a unique relationship with Eve. After he had a unique relationship with Eve, he brought Eve to Adam, and in the presence of God, that man Adam said, "Bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. I should call a woman because she came from man." That's the position I come from when it comes to a relationship, my brother and sister. But now, if you have another point of view, you have what is called a free will. You can do whatever you choose to do. But I'm letting you know now, when you sit at the dinner table, I strictly talk about the relationship from a biblical point of view. That's between God, the man, God, the woman, God, the man, and the woman. That's where I come from. Uh, how you doing, Sister Flo? How you doing, Sister Shara? How you doing? I see that you all have sat down at the dinner table. And come on in, the rest of my brothers and sisters. By the way, I'm on two different platforms. If you're on the tube, I may make some comments to those on the book. You may not see the comments, and those of you that are on the book, I may make some comments to those on the tube, but you may not see the comment. But I will call out the name every now and then, and I will also state what he or she said. So this is a family-oriented platform. So during the course of our meal, my brother and sister, you can feel free to say whatever you want to do. I mean, whatever you choose to, but be very respectful. If you have any questions for me or any member of the dinner table, go ahead and put it out there in the chat, and we will address it. Okay. So with that said, let's look at the menu for tonight, my brother and sister. When we will look at the menu for tonight, there at the top is being in a sexual soul tie relationship. Again, being in a sexually soul tied relationships. There are so many people, my brothers and sisters, that are experiencing a sexual soul tied relationship. And at the dinner table tonight, this is uh dinner is basically for the adults tonight. And so if you have any children around, you may want them to like go in another room or something like that. But it's basically for adults tonight, okay? But it's gonna be clean, all right? Gonna be clean. Now, my brothers and sisters, so you deeply feel, some of you, so you deeply feel that you are in love with a particular person, and you think that you're in a committed relationship with that particular person for the rest of your life. But for some particular reason, whatever that particular reason is, there seems to be something missing, and you cannot rightly put your finger on it. And that's what we're talking about at the dinner table again. Now, what we're talking about, we're getting into the thing called, you know, you have heard me talk about a soul tie, right? And basically, a soul tie is an emotional thing, but there is a thing that's called, as a matter of fact, there's about four types of soul ties. But tonight we're going to focus more on the sexual soul tie. And believe it or not, my brother and sister, this have a whole lot of people trapped, and they really don't know it. Okay, now, how does a sexual soul tie come to pass? And listen to me carefully, my brother and sister, and I'm going to tell you exactly how sexual soul tie come into effect. How you doing, Sister Kendra or William? Welcome to the dinner table. Now, how does a sexual um soul happen? It's a bond, my brother and sister. Listen to me carefully. It is a bond that is created with oxytocin, and it is released in your body during sexual intercourse. So there is a it's oxytocin, and it is released. It's a hormone, and that hormone is linked to positive social functioning and is associated with bond trusting. So you know when you having sex with someone, my brother, so you know that I always say sex is not casual. Now, some men and some women think it's casual, but sex is not casual, my brother and sister. As a matter of fact, God created sex to be enjoyed between a man and a woman in the right type of relationship. So don't ever think that sex is wrong. Don't think that sex is a taboo. Sex is a fact of life. God created it, but God wanted it done in a particular way. And you see, when it comes to that, how you doing, sister? Diamond Sim. So you got to listen to me very carefully, my brother and sister. So there's this little chemical in the brain again. It's oxytocin, and it is a hormone. So during the time when you are in a physically engaging in sexual intercourse with someone, normally it's gonna cause bonding, it's gonna cause trusting, and it's gonna affect loyalty too. So you got three factors. You got the bonding, you got the trust, and then you got the loyalty. Now, the intimacy, my brother and sister, of an experience is what really causes us to feel attached to someone. So once you get to that point, you may start feeling attached to someone. That is a sexual soul tie. The oxytocin, my brothers and sisters, it is actually called the love drug that affects the brain. So that's where the oxytocin is released at. It is released in the brain, and the oxytocin, my brothers and sister, it is associated with trust, sexual arouseness, and the relationship building. It's sometimes referred to as that love hormone or cuddling chemical. Now, oxytocin level, my brother and sister, it increases when you are hugging someone and when you are experiencing an orgasm. Okay. Now listen, it experience really when you hugging someone, especially someone that you're into, and then when you experience an orgasm, that takes the relationship to another place. Cause I have told you, my brother, sister, how you doing, sister Pamela or Selma? Welcome to the dinner table. Sex is nothing to play with. It's nothing casual about sex. The world will make it seem like it's something casual about sex, but it's nothing. It's not wrong in itself. It's just how you do it, which is supposed to be the right way, God's way, and between a man and a woman. Now, my brother and sister, according to a certified relationship life coach, Joseph Moore, this is what Mr. Moore said. He said, and I'm quoting what Mr. Moore said. He said soul ties are typically formed through a physical, spiritual, social, or emotional connections, which can involve deep conversations and complete openness, and you being very vulnerable. So there's a whole bunch of vulnerability to it. But more general, they blossom after sexual intercourse. Let me give you a situation, my brother and sister. This is what normally happens. Now, as we know, you might hear me say this again later on. As we know, in our society, men are encouraged to go after women. They're encouraged to go after women. When I said they are encouraged to go after women, what am I saying? The culture encouraged men to go try to convince a woman to get on her back. Okay, that's how our culture works. See how many women you can get on your back, like it's a big game. but it's not no game. And what are women mostly told? All you got to watch out for these men, because all they want to do, all they want is one thing, and after they get that one thing, they gone. So it's truth in both parts of it. You know what I mean? There's some truth in both parts of it. How you doing, Sister Rhonda? So you got to understand it, my brother and sister. Like I say, it's not a game when it comes to sex. Now, I personally, my brother and sister, wear sexual soul tie. I personally, my brother and sister, I lean towards the position that a soul tie is more a spiritual connection, because a man and a woman is made of three components. That man and woman is made of spirit, soul, and body. You understand? So a man and woman get the component, the spirit, the soul, and the body, according to God's word. Therefore, my brothers and sisters, God Himself up in heaven and lives inside of you, my brother, and you, my sister. He created a strong emotional bond between a man and a woman when they have a desire for one another. God put that desire there. It's nothing wrong with the desire, because God put that desire there, my brother and sister, for a man and woman to procreate and to have close intimacy with one another. Okay, so you got to understand that, and you see how God wanted that emotional bond to happen. He wanted to lead to marriage, and the sexual soul tie is right when that man and woman is married. That's God's way. Now, a sexual soul tie, my brother and sister, it can happen in different types of relationship, and there's some danger to it when you jump from relationship to relationship, because when you jump into relationship to relationship, my brother and sister, what you're doing, you're getting energy from other people, because we are spiritual beings. Okay, so brother, every woman that you have slept with, you got a piece of them in you. Sister, every man that you slept with, you got a piece of him or her, I mean, him in you. You could take a bath and all that kind of stuff all you want, but you still have a piece of that man and that woman. And that what causes these sexual soul ties. And some people, they wonder why they can't have no healthy relationship, and why they're going from one relationship to another relationship. And when they're doing that, it's normally one person that he or she is more clean to than the other. So a man and a woman, they could actually be in a full-fledged relationship. A man and woman could get married to someone else, or they could be away from that person that they had sexual intercourse with, but they still thinking about that person all the time. Even if they married, they think about another man or another woman way on the other side of town, in another city, in another state, or probably on another continent, because of that soul tie. And normally you have all the soul ties in you, but normally it might be that one particular person that you really cling to and you're wrestling with, and that's a silent battle that's going on in you. You really don't discuss it with nobody. Most of the time you don't. That's an inward battle that you plague with. And a lot of time, my brother and sister, sometimes you going through the motion with a person that you could either be married to, but you've been exposed to someone else that caused your little toes to wiggle. So, and that's why I lean more towards, I think that the soul tie is a spiritual connection because of the three components, that the spirit, the soul, and the emotion. Now, I'm going to tell you something, my brother. So let me tell you something. This is like a sexual soul tie. Let me show you this. You see this, what I got, my brother and sister? This is what is called super glue. This is super glue, okay? This plate represent a man, and this plate represent a woman. You see, there's a paper man and there's a paper woman. This you brother or you sister. And you see this glue? This glue is super glue. And what does super glue does? It bonds things together. Now, if I put some super glue in the middle of this plate that represent the man, and if I put some super glue on this plate that represents the woman, and once I do that, and then I put these two plates together, but I didn't put I didn't actually put the glue. I'm just trying to show you an illustration. So if I put the glue between these two plates, I'm going to push them together. And in the process of time, listen to what I'm saying. In the process of time, it's going to bond these two plates together. And you see how easy it is for me to pull this plate apart. But if I would have put that super glue in there and I pushed these two plates together and the glue got a little hard, you know what was going to happen? If I try to pull these two plates together, it's going to tear. You understand? Get this in your mind. It's going to tear. And that's what happens, my brother and sister, when it comes to a sexual soul tie, because it's the tearing away. And it's hard, my brother. And it's hard, my sister, when you got that sexual soul tie with a man, sister, or a sexual soul tie with a woman. It's hard to break. I'm going to give you 3 illustrations, my brother and sister. Now listen to me carefully, okay? I'm going to tell you something about a single man and a single woman that has a sexual soul tie. I'm going to tell you about either a man or woman that's married, but they dealing with a single man or woman. Now listen to it. And then the third one, I'm going to tell you about a man that's married and a woman that's married that got a sexual soul tie. So let me go back over it again. In the first scenario, we're going to go over a man that's single and a woman that's single, but they got a sexual soul tie. The second illustration, that could be a man or a woman that's married, but they dealing with a single person. And in the third scenario, I'm going to tell you about 2 married people that have a sexual soul tie. Now, each one of these 3 scenarios, they are true. What I'm about to tell you about, they are true. Hopefully, I'm not talking about one of you sisters or brother, because when I talk about sexual soul tie, this could happen to Christians too that cross the line. And as you know, I talk mostly to Christian men and Christian women, but a Christian man and a Christian woman could step out the boundaries and you can become sexual soul tied to someone. Now, in the first illustration, my brother and sister, there is this single man and there's this single woman. They've been quote unquote kicking it for years and years and years and years. The man the man go off and be with other women. He might call himself in a relationship with other women. The woman may call herself in a relationship with other men. However, what is holding this one particular man and this one particular woman together? It's something that's holding together. It's a sexual soul tie. Even though, and what everything I'm telling you, my brother and sister, is true, okay? But I'm not going to tell you no names because I'm protecting the innocent, okay? So this single man, he can't get enough of this single woman. And this single woman can't get enough of this single man. Even though they could be in relationship with other people, they always come to what pulling them together? The soul tie. How you doing? The sexual soul tie. How you doing, Sister Tierra? Welcome to the dinner table. So it's the sexual soul tie. Even though the man and the woman, they could tell one another that they love one another, it's more, it's something other than love. It's lust. So no woman can please this man like this woman. And no man can please this woman like this man. You understand? How you doing, Regina? Welcome to the dinner table. So you got this single man and this single woman. They could be in a full-fledged relationship with someone they're not. We talk about single, but they still got this strong sexual soul tied to one another. This man, he could have been with other women, but they just can't do it for him. And this woman, she could have been with other men, but they just can't do it for them. All this man and woman have to do is pick up the phone, call one another, and go through the motion, what's up, and all that kind of stuff. Then in the end, they talk about getting hooked up. And when they get hooked up, they have what they believe is a strong, passionate, physical, intimate session. And they may even throw the word "I love you" around, but it's not really love. It's a unhealthy soul tie. I mean, sexual soul tie, and they can't break it from one another because it's hard to break. Even though they could be apart for weeks, days, weeks, months, and all that kind of stuff, but they still can drop whatever they're doing just to have physical intimate with one another, and they stuck. The second scenario that I was telling you about, that could be this man or woman that's married, and they dealing with a single person. There's a sexual soul tie in this situation. Okay, what happens? This married man, he deals with this single married woman. I mean, he deal with this single woman. He's a married man, but he deal with this single woman. In his mind, he thinking I could go deal with this single woman and I could keep my emotions back and everything intact. So at the dawn of the relationship, that's in his mind. So he continued to go see this single woman. And it was supposed to be some type of understanding. But as time went on, and him and this woman continued to have physical intimate with somebody, with one another, somebody's feelings gonna change. Somebody feeling gonna change. Because you listen to this, my brother and sister, you cannot keep having sexual relationship with someone and feelings don't get involved. Now, the feeling may not get involved initially, but then majority of the time it does get um kicked off. Okay. So this man, he continues to um have sex with this woman, and he get to the point where he don't want her being with no one else, because he started getting to the point where he started paying this woman bills. He may pay her mortgage note, her car note, and all that kind of stuff. And he think that he is the man, but he's a married man. And he thinks since he's doing all this stuff for this woman, she's supposed to keep herself for him. But this woman, she's single, she's a free agent. She really don't supposed to be doing the sexual part anyway unless she's married. And that man, since he married, he really don't supposed to be dealing with this woman. So this man, he gets so obsessed with this woman, he don't want nobody coming in to see that woman. He don't want her going on no date or nothing with no one else, because he think because I'm paying the bills and stuff, everything belongs to me. But brother, if this is some of you, just because you married and you seeing a woman on the outside, which is wrong, don't, and I always say this, do not look for loyalty. Don't ever look for loyalty, because it's not going to be no loyalty. Now, there are some women that they may play the role and don't see other men. You know, that's rare and far between. They might not do it. But sister, I hope I'm not talking to you. Married men will kill you. Just because they married, they still may kill you. Because men in general are very possessive. And even though this married man is dealing with a single woman, he don't want her being with no one else. No kind of way. Not going out of nothing. He got her quote unquote on lockdown. So there is a sexual soul tie. Now, on the other hand, this single woman, she can have an understanding that this man is married. Okay. She can have an understanding that this man is married. So she cool with it. But in the process of time, if she continue to let this man sleep with her, she gonna catch feelings. Now the man, he may not catch feeling initially, but she may start catching feeling. And when she started catching feelings, she was gonna want to change the arrangement. That's what normally happens. They're gonna, I'm telling you, you guys that listening to me, you keep touching a woman and think that she ain't no get no feelings to it, because it's, you can't change the fact that when you are sexual intimate with someone, you keep doing it, feelings going to develop. And listen to this, my brother, my married brothers, or you guys that married, a single woman would take you out. It could get to a point where you married and she's single, and you call yourself want to pull away from her. She may not want you to pull away from her, and she could cause all kinds of problems for you, especially if you got some type of little position or something like that. She may blow the whistle on you. She want everybody to know, especially your wife. She want her to know, because she's hurt. She's hurt. And that's when a lot of people, they do things out in public too. Yes, they do things out in public. What do I mean? If you, brother, you married, and you could be with your own wife, and that side woman, she could see you in a restaurant and come bust you right there. And your wife may not know nothing about it, but she want her to know about it because you call yourself pulling away from her. Because she's so tired, then you're gonna say she crazy. It ain't the point that she's crazy. It's because that oxytocin got released in her brain, which is that lower bombing that you did, and she's so tied to you, so it's hard to break. On the other hand, there are some married women that deal with single men. You have an understanding. You tell this guy that you married, and most of the time, the guy that know you married, he will agree with it, because he know he's going to eventually get you on your back. So in his mind, he thinking, after I finish with, I can send her back home to the husband. But you see, the tricky part about this too, either that married woman or that single man can get sexually soul tied to one another. Now, in a lot of cases, the woman, she could be, because she's emotional. This married woman, she starts sleeping on a regular with this other man. And more than likely, a lot of times she's gonna be telling this other man some problem that she having with her husband. And like I have told you this, you ladies, when you go and telling other men about the problem with your husband, he really doesn't want to hear it. He act like he want to hear it, but he really doesn't want to hear it. So he will put up with you saying your man, your husband don't do this, or he does this. He would listen, he would put up with it, and he would try to be your your little counselor or whatever. He would let you cry on his shoulders and everything, because he know eventually that he's gonna lay you down. That's how he get paid, for listening to it. In his mind, a lot of time, it's a whole bunch of crap that he listening to. So the dangerous part about a lot of married women, they get so tied to these single guys, and in their mind, they thinking, you don't need no another woman, which is wrong anyway, because he don't supposed to be having sex with no one else unless he's married. So both the married woman and the single man, they're doing what is wrong. So in a lot of cases, the married woman, she gets so tied to the single man. Don't you know? I know, hold on, I'm not talking to some of your sisters. Don't you know this single man, he's not going to wait for you when you go on your vacation and all that kind of stuff with your husband? I don't understand why some women think these single men going to wait for you. What you got to understand is, when you go back home to your husband, he may have another woman coming through, or he's going to go to another woman. So you married women, you got to understand this. You can give this man all the sex all you want, but don't think you're going to empty his tank just for, and some women think, I'm going to empty his tank so he won't be able to deal with no one else. Don't even think that, sister, you fooling yourself. And then some of these married women, they get so soul tied with these single men. They want to act foolish in public too, knowing they married, and they don't care about their marriage during that time. When they see this single man with another woman, they don't care about they lose it. They want to fight this other woman. They want to do all kind of stuff, but they didn't forget they married. But at that particular time, they so emotional and they could get themselves in some trouble. And let me tell you this, you single guys, if you listen to me, a married woman will take you out too. And you married women, a single man would take you out. It could get to the point where you lose your life. And then on the third scenario, you could have where you got a married man and you got a married woman. They both are married. They are both are not planning on leaving their relationship with their spouses. But they come together and one of them, they really lacking some in their relationship. And they want to tell that other person, well, my wife doing this or my wife not doing that. Or the woman might say, well, my husband not doing this and all that. So they go out together, they go on trips together, they do all kinds of stuff like a couple do. And then they get to the point where they thinking that I know you got a husband, I know you got a wife, so it's just gonna be us. Let me tell you something, you married people. Listen to me carefully. Listen to me carefully. You married guys that dealing with a married woman. A lot of times you married guys thinking you know that she's married too. So you think you and her the only one that's having sex, right? A lot of time she could be having sex with somebody else. Did you know that? And contrary, some of you are women, you married and the man is married, and you think that he just having sex with you and his wife, right? On the contrary, he may be having sex with you, his wife, and someone else. There are no loyalty in it. And let me tell you this: married people get caught up with the sexual soul tie too. They really do. Sometimes the sexual soul tie get to the point where the married man, he don't want this woman that he's sleeping with, which is married. He don't even want her sleeping with her husband. And the same thing, some of these married women that dating a married man, they don't even want the man sleeping with his wife. It happened, my brother and sister, because it's an unhealthy soul tie. Everyone that you sleep with, my brother and sister, and married people can take one another out too. And you see the thing about married people that's dealing with another married person, they could get jealous if they think that that married man or woman that they dealing with seeing somebody else. If they think it, they will get jealous because of that sexual soul tie. You know why they get jealous? Because they're thinking what he is doing with her. It's just like this. The man might be thinking what this woman is doing with this other man, she's doing with me. And vice versa. How you doing, Wicked Glow? Welcome to the dinner table. So it's just like that, my brother and sister. The sexual soul tie, it confused people. A lot of time when a man and woman get in a sexual soul tie, they are confused. They are confused because they think that it's love, when it's really not love, my brother. It's really not love, my sister. I put it this way: take the sex out of the relationship. Just take the sex out of the relationship. And then you see how much you got in common with that man or woman. All you have to do is subtract the sex out and see what you got with that person. A lot of times you don't have nothing going on with the person. The only thing that keeps you together is the sex. But you go through all those other charades, but the only thing that keeps you together is the sex part. Now, let me tell you this, my brother and sister. Contrary to popular belief, a sexual soul tie can happen to men as well as women because of the normal emotions, thoughts, and ideas. Everyone, my brother and sister, will experience intense feelings toward another person. However, women in general display it more sooner than men. Because you see, a lot what's out there in the public is that women get more addicted to the man than the man get addicted to the woman. That's a whole bunch of crap. It's a whole bunch of men that get trapped in these sexual soul tie to the woman. So that is a big myth. So don't believe the hype, my brothers. Don't believe the hype, my sister. Both parties can get sexual soul tied to another person. Now, how do you break a sexual soul tie? It's hard to do it. It's very hard to break a sexual soul tie. Even if, brother or sister, you're not having sex with that particular person, you still find yourself thinking about that person. You still feel yourself longing for that person, even if y'all not together. And you could be thinking and feeling for that person for years. And all it takes is one phone call. All it takes is one text. And all those emotions, it comes to the surface, and you feel those emotional intertwining again with that person because it was on a thin thread. You see, sexual soul ties, my brother and sister, is hanging on a thin thread anyway, because really you don't have nothing else there. You really don't have nothing else. So you got that small thread. So, sister, when this man that you got a sexual soul tie with, you could be in a full-fledged relationship, whereas you married, and you see that, and that man call you, or that man text you, and those feelings that you thought were dormant, they're gonna come up. They're gonna come up on you because it haven't been successfully cut. You thought it was cut because just because he was not calling you and texting you, and you weren't gonna do that, you put the ball in his court because he's the man, right? But when he does reach out to you, though all those feelings and stuff come, and then when you start talking to him, you know what more than likely gonna happen? You're gonna find a way to go to lunch with him. You're gonna find a way to go to dinner with him. You're going to find a way to go to the park with him. You're going to find a way to go work out with him. You're going to find a way to go out with him somewhere. And in the end, you're going to get isolated. And when you get isolated, you're going to have physical intimacy. And that little thread that was there, all these other threads gonna start coming back together. They're gonna start forming back together. Now you back to square one. And it happens to men too. Some of you guys, you could be married, and that single woman, she could reach out to you. Or that married woman, she could reach out to you. And what's in you, you thought was dormant. You've been thinking about her off and on. It just take one call or that text. Y'all get together, do the same scenario as I just spoke of. Y'all get together, eventually gonna get isolated. And when you get isolated, you're going to have physical intimacy. You're going to think it's love, but it's not love. It's lust. Because if you take the physical aspect out of the equation, you really see that you, brother, don't have nothing really long term with that woman. And some of your sister, you say, well, you really don't have nothing long term with that man. As a matter of fact, you could have something going on more with your spouse, but the sex part. Now there's some men and women, they justify the sexual part because, and this is how it happened a lot of times too, especially for married people. A lot of times, what the world call affairs is not an affair. Let's put that straight. The Bible don't say nothing about affairs. The word says affairs. It's really called adultery. Okay. What normally cause a man man or a woman to commit adultery. Jesus said that it starts in the heart, because Jesus said, when a man look upon a woman and lust after her, he has already committed adultery with her in his heart. And that same principle applies to a woman looking at a man. So start in the heart first before it gets to the physical. So before sex take place anyway, my brother and sister, it takes place in the mind first before it goes to the physical. You see, it starts on the inside. It starts the spirit, the soul, and then the body. For those of you that are saved, you can get caught up in that kind of stuff. You see, the Spirit of God would be saying, don't do it. That's what the Spirit of God would be saying, don't do it. Excuse me, but your soul, it's going to be battling with the Lord's Spirit, okay? You're going to have a battle going on with the Lord's Spirit, because it's a flesh thing too. So the flesh will not bow to the Lord. Let's get that straight. The flesh is not going to bow to the Lord. You know what Jesus said when he was in the Garden of Gethsemane, just before they came and got him a few hours before the crucifixion? You know what Jesus said? Jesus said that the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. So what's going to happen? You brothers and sisters, I'm talking straight to you all now. If you got a sexual soul attached to someone in your past, and if you ignore the Spirit of God telling you don't do it, you're going to do whatever you can do to block that voice out of your mind. You're going to do whatever you're going to do. You could be in your car going to meet that man or woman, and the Spirit of God will be saying, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And you're going to turn on the radio. You're going to try to do something to distract your mind so you could do what you want to do. And you see, there's no man and there's no woman. Don't you know, my brother and sister, Superman and Superwoman does not exist. That is a fictional character. Superman is a fictional character. Superwoman is a fictional character. That man or that woman does not exist. So, my brother and sister, you are playing with fire. Did not Yogi Bear say don't play with matches? You are playing with fire when you're doing this kind of stuff. And more than likely, you're going to lose, my brother and sister. So you're going to go ahead and do it. And when you're going ahead and do it, you see, nobody can say that sin is not pleasurable. The Bible even say that it's for a moment. Even forbidden sex, you get a pleasure out of it for a moment. You do. You get pleasure out of it. Even though it's wrong, you get pleasure out of it. But you see, in the end, when you come down off that high and you think about what you have been doing, you feel that you feel like you're dirty. You could take all the baths that you want to take, and your body get clean, but it's what's going on the inside of you. You feeling guilty. You know that you betrayed God first before your spouse. Whenever you do something wrong, you always hit God first, then your spouse, for you married people. Brother, if you marry and you do something, you hurt God first, because more than likely your wife don't know about it. And sister, the same thing too. If you do something with another man, God know about it before your husband. But you hurting both of them. God looking at you while you're doing it. While you're doing all your oohs and ahs, God is looking at you. But you see, the thing about it, men and women, you think more about your spouse not seeing you than God seeing you. That's how it normally be. You think about, I don't want my spouse to see it, but you don't think about God looking at you, do you? God look at you 24/7, 7 days a week. You see, you're going to avoid your spouse finding out about that, but you can't avoid God, because he's ever present. You can't escape his sight. So the only way, my brother and sister, that you can break a sexual soul tie is the Lord. Because you see, a sexual soul tie, my brother and sister, is not love. It is not love. If you marry somebody because they got a bomb in sex, that's all you got. That's all you got. After the sex is over with, which is a few moments, for some people it's a few seconds, but it's a few moments. What else do you have besides sex? You got to have something else besides sex. Now, sex is important in the right type of relationship, but you got to have something besides sex. And the only way, brother, because you hear some people that's called uh what you call it, nymphomaniacs. These are some people that they call got a high sex drive, right? That's what they say, got a high sex drive. But you don't have to be no nymphomaniac to have a high sexual drive. It's actually a gift from God, but God wants you to do it the right way in the right type of relationship. That's why I always told you, my brother and sister, at the beginning of a relationship, when you again serious with someone, when you move from serious to committed, remember the conversation that I always tell you, brother and sister, at the early part of relationship. What did I tell you all? I said, and this is a script. I said you go by forms, FORMS. And that's this it's an interview. Because I said when you go on a date, you dare to have fun, but you dare to interview. When you're going on a date, you're there to interview. And one of the letters out of forms, FORM, is sex. You need to discuss sex. That don't mean that you want to have sex immediately with that person, but that is an important aspect of the relationship. You discuss family, you discuss occupation, because somebody you got to work to pay those bills. You have to discuss relationship. Do you believe in the same Jesus? You got to discuss money. That's M, whether he like to spend money or she like to blow money, whatever. And then sex. What you think about sex? Because most of the time, my brother and sister, when you are talking to someone, more than likely he or she have had sex with someone before they met you, or not someone, somebody's. So most of the time, brother and sister, when you meet someone, and they don't have to have children as proof that they had sex. Because it's some people that might have 3 children, but they ain't got that much experience. And then that could be some people that don't have no children, but been wilding out. So you need to discuss that. But when a man and woman get married, what lead them a lot of time to that sexual soul tie? Normally, they it could be an issue between them and their spouse. It could be. Or it could be that he or she just want to do it. Don't let me tell you something, my brother and sister. Sometimes a man could be married to a good woman. A woman could be married to a good man, but they go out there and do be sexual with other people. You don't have to have no problem. Let me tell you this now, my brother and sister. You do not have to have a problem with your spouse. Major problem to go out there and do something with somebody else. You have what is called a free will, and you exercise your free will to go do stuff like that. But the dangerous part is you violating your relationship, which you could lose. You could have a issue with you and God first, then you can have an issue with your spouse. Because you see, God can forgive you for that, but your spouse may not forgive you. You understand? God will forgive you, but you're gonna have some repercussion because you're supposed to do it anyway. But your spouse may not do it. So that temporary thrill on Blueberry Hill can cause your spouse, that good man, that good woman, to depart from you. And then you're going to be kicking yourself in your own rear end if your foot could reach it, and you're going to be saying, "What kind of fool was I?" And then that person that you had a sexual soul tie with, you know it's not going to work with him or her. You know it because that's all y'all had in common. So that's why the only way you're going to break a sexual soul tie, my brother and sister, you're going to have to look in your own mirror and admit it to yourself that you have a sexual soul tie with another man, sister, or brother, another woman. You got to look in the mirror and admit it to yourself. Then you're going to have to go to God and ask God to help you to break that sexual soul tie, because you need intervention. And the only way you're going to get it, God will help you. But a lot of time, a lot of men and women, you're not going to ask God to help you with that. You know why you're not going to ask God to help you with it? Because you still want to keep doing it. You want to stop, but then you don't want to stop. That's why you go to God and admit it to God that you got a problem in that area. Every man and every woman, if it's not sex, you got some kind of thing that offsets you. Every man and every woman, you are dealing with something that got a hold on you. And the only thing that you can, the only way, whatever it is besides sex, you got to ask God to break those chains. Because my brother and sister, a sexual soul tie, you got a change on you. And you locked up. And you can't be let out. Only God can do it. Even though, my brother and sister, you stop being physically intimate with that person, you still longing for him or her. You still thinking about him. And if you got the opportunity, you will do it again. So you need the Lord to help deliver you from that. Now, let's talk about being in the right type of relationship. What makes a man in general connect more with their women or their woman? What in general connects men more to their woman? This is the answer. What connect most men, and when I say most men, I'm talking about godly men. I'm not talking about worldly men. This is what causes a man to connect more with his woman. Sister, you need to listen to this. And I'm talking about a godly man. When the woman in their life, when she shows respect to that man in his presence, as well as when he's not around. He wants you to respect him when you face to face with him, when it just mano, and he wants you to respect him when you out in public where he can't see you. Because the worst thing, one of the baddest thing what could happen to a man's psyche is you two-faced it in front of him. You acting like you this goody wife in front of him, but you go wild out in public and you be doing a whole bunch of stuff that have people left eyeing your man, and your man praising you and everything in front of people, but other people looking at and say, man, you just don't know. If you just only know how your woman is, you see one part of your woman, but we know another part. We know that part that you don't know. And you see, no man don't want nothing like that slapping in his face when he have lifted you up. He didn't put a pedestal on you, but he been lifting you up, okay? He also looking for, how does a man connect to you? And we talk about a spiritual man. You are submissive. Submissive doesn't mean that you're weak, sister. It doesn't mean that you're weak. You understand that the man is put at the head of the relationship if you believe in the Lord. Next, keep business in-house. That means keep your mouth closed. Men in general do not want you taking house stuff and discussing it, sister, with your girlfriends, your family, your co-worker, and undercover on Facebook and all those other media outlets. Men don't want you. Now, there are some men that talk. Now, don't get me wrong, but most men don't want you taking what's going on in the house to other people. Some of you sisters, you need to understand that hurt a lot of relationship. You talk too much. You got to stop telling people your business, because the people that you're telling, they're not no counselors. They're not no neutral party. Most of the people that you talk to got the upper hand because they got more loyalty towards you than they got towards the man. Another thing that connects a man to his woman, a Christian man, when you kiss him. Yeah, when you initiate a kiss, don't wait for the man to initiate a kiss. Don't wait till the man initiate touching. Some of you sisters, When it comes to your husband stuff, you're too passive. Don't you know that man wants to know and feel that he's wanted just as much as you want him to show you love? He wants you to initiate some things sometime. So kiss him, smile at him. Stop walking around with this mud look on your face. Have a smile on your face. You'll be more receptive, you know, and offer generosity things to him. You know, just do little small stuff to him. You know, cause you study the man a whole bunch of things. Do something. Praise the man. Lift him up in his face and lift him up in public because you his biggest cheerleader. Show words of affection by respect. Use words that can penetrate that hard shell of that man. Now, the key point is men also love and connect through sexuality, often to a greater degree than women. Listen to this, sister. Men connect more to a greater degree than women when you have sex with them. Because men have what is called the testosterone stuff in them. You understand? So a lot of times, if a man is healthy, he's constantly building that stuff well in him. You understand? He constantly building it in him, and he will prefer to be with you. I'm talking about a Christian man. So you got to understand that men in general, most of the time, they are more sexually motivated than women. Now, there are some women that more sexually are motivated than men, but on the average, men are more sexually uh, ready to go than men are in a greater degree. Now, what makes a woman generally connect more with their men? And I talk about a Christian woman. What normally connects a Christian woman more to a man? Answer: when the man they're living with show that he's a godly man, which means that he's a leader. And back to number one about a man, how does he connect with a woman? I forgot. She is a godly woman. That's number one. But back to the woman, he is a godly man. If he's a godly man, the woman is looking for leadership because she need to know direction where she's going. She want a man that take charge, even though he may ask her some questions, but she want a man to be able to make that final call. She wants and crave a whole lot of attention. She craves attention and she wants it from you. That what a lot of you guys got to understand, your woman wants attention from you. She wants you to listen to her without being judgmental. If she tell you something about her past that was messed up, don't throw it back in her face. Don't be judgmental. If you want your woman to open up to you, don't be judgmental. Don't call her names and make her feel small. She could have had something that happened in her past. That's why some women they want to discuss stuff with you, but some of you guys are, they don't want to talk to you about it because they think that you'll judge them. And some of you guys, when a woman tell you something about her past, the first thing a lot of you guys do, you want to make the woman seem like she did it on purpose. She called to herself. Case in point, there are a lot of women, brothers, that your own wife, she could have been molested by someone in her family, physically molested, or somebody else outside her family. So she's dealing with that for some reason. And sometimes in some families, some women get molested in the family, and the family keep it hush hush. They don't deal with it. There's a lot of women like that, brother. Your woman could have been sexually violated by an uncle, a brother, her brother, a dad, a cousin, and the whole family knew about it, but they kept it hush hush, and they didn't want to deal with it. Your woman could be doing that right now. She could still be dealing with that thing in the past. So don't be judgmental. She wants you to listen to her. And a lot of time when women want you to listen to them, they don't want you to listen to them to try to solve the problem. They just want you to listen to them. They want you to be able to provide for them. They want you to be able to protect them. They want security. When I say security, they want the security meaning that you are not going nowhere unless you die. They don't want no feeling that there's another woman in the picture. You understand that, brother? You don't want her ever thinking that there's another woman in the picture. How you doing, Brother Lee? Brother Lee said on her job while working. That's right. So you don't want your woman thinking that there's another woman out there. And by the way, sister, you don't want your man thinking that there's another man out there, because men are territorial. In general, if a man find out, sister, a lot of time that you went somewhere with another man, a lot of time, that's it for you. They're going to cut you. Whereas a lot of time, women appear to work more with men if they find out that they've been doing a little thing out there in the street. But it don't work all the time. But I'm just saying, brothers, don't let her have no doubt that there's possible a woman that's in the picture. And the woman needs to feel truly and deeply loved. If that woman feel that you deeply love her, if she feels, because women are emotional, she feel that you will lay down your life for her, you're going to see a flower blooming up in that woman, brother, that you never seen in another woman. And that woman gonna discover herself when she blooms open for you. So that's what you want that woman to do. She just like a flower, you want her to bloom and open up to you. And when that woman really opened up to you, brother, remember we'll talk about the subject sexual soul tie. Let me tell you this, brother. When that woman really into you and you are in the right type of relationship, I mean married, because that's the only thing God wants. That's the only way God wants you to have sex with a woman, brother. You got to get married. That's the only way. That's God's way. A lot of us, we violated God's law, but God's way, brother, he wants you to be married. Now, if you're married to the woman, brother, and you're doing it the right way, and you treat her like she needs to be treated, not how she wants to, but how she needs to, because need trumps want. And when she see that you are really there for her, when she feeling that she protected, provided for, and all that other good stuff, let me tell you this, brother, when it comes to the physical aspect of your relationship or the sexual part of the relationship, you going to know the difference of Niagara Falls and the Sahara Desert. Think about what I just said. When that woman into you, you going to discover, if you ain't never been to Niagara Falls, you're going to discover what Niagara Falls is. If you ain't never been to the Sahara Desert, you're going to discover what the Sahara Desert. You're going to discover what the Sahara Desert is if you ain't doing it right. But if you're doing it right, you going to discover Niagara Falls, and you ain't never had Niagara Falls before. Now think about what that means. Now the key point in that is this, brother. She needs a whole bunch of just because days. I always say that. That means that you do special things for her throughout the year. Don't wait for holidays or man may say you need to do this. Wait for Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, and all that kind of stuff. She wants to be appreciated, and you have to do it consistently. And this is for both. And this, what you need to do, brother, you got to do it consistently and continuously, and don't be too predictable. Change stuff up sometime. You ain't got to tell her the whole plan. Just sometime, brother, I say this, sometime you could just come home sometime and tell her you need to pack your bag. We're going somewhere. She might say, where we going? Just say, pack this. Tell her, give her an idea what to pack, and say, we finna go somewhere. You ain't got to tell her all the time, we going this place or that place. Surprise her sometime. Now, I know it's sometimes for planning, but do something that's spontaneous sometimes, some of you, brother. Now, the most intimate act between a man and a woman is the right type of relationship. Is spending purposely set aside time together, cuddling, and holding hands. Do you not realize this, my brother and sister, that holding hands especially can be the most intimate act of love that a man and woman can share? It ain't all about sex. If you just hold that man's hand or that woman's hand, brother, and then you sharing your hopes, your dreams, your disappointment, you being transparent to the point where you tell the truth, it may hurt, but never lie to your mate. Don't lie to him. Don't tell no partial truth. Because a partial truth is still a lie. Now, if there's a possibility for a non-sexual soul tie, yes, a non-sexual soul tie can work. Let me give you a situation. It can be, what is a non-sexual soul tie? It is if a person that is strictly your friend, because you have intertwined and connected by developing an emotional and a spiritual cord together. It is a powerful emotion that bonds two people together. Understand? Now, for an example, this is an example of a non-sexual soul tie. For example, according to God's word, David, which became King David, the second king of Israel, and King Saul's son Jonathan had this type of relationship. Now, these guys, they were strictly men, but I'm telling you what a non-sexual soul tie looks like. Don't get it twisted, because these guys were guys. As it is written in the book of 1 Samuel 18, 1 through 4. 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 And it reads, it came to pass when he made an endless speaking unto Saul, that the soul of Jonathan was knitted with the soul of David, and Jonathan loved him as his own soul. That's a friend. No hanky-panky stuff. And Saul took him that day and would let him go no more home to his father's house. So when David moved into King Saul's house, King Saul's son Jonathan, he loved David just like it was his own soul. Then Jonathan and David made a covenant because he loved him as his own soul. And Jonathan stripped himself of the robe that was upon him and gave it to David, and his garment, even his sword and his bow, and to his girl. Now that is a non-sexual soul tie where there's no crossing the line, and that's normally between the same sex. When that's a man and a man, they just boys, okay? No hanky-panky stuff. And women, no hanky-panky stuff. But I must say this, on the other hand, it's harder for a man to be just friend with a woman. Now, I have talked about that before. I may visit that again. It's harder. Listen to what I'm saying. It's harder for a man to just be friends with a woman. I know it's hard for some women to understand. You know why you don't understand? Because you're not a man. Men have testosterone in their bodies and it be building up. Men are more visual. Now, there's some women that a lot of women say, well, me and a man could just be friends. Yeah, that's what you think. Now, most men, they may not have verbally told you that or came to you a way where you could pick up on it. But most men, if they got an opportunity, sister, you will see that they would cross the line of just friends. Because once you cross the line of just friends, you're not friends no more. That's just like if you're living in Kansas and going to Oz, you will not forget the experience of going to Oz when you go back to Kansas, Dorothy. You understand? You won't. So I'm telling you, the only way men could really be friends with a woman is he look at her as an associate. But if that man spent too much time with that woman, he talked too much with her, you get that emotional thing, and then you get that emotional thing, and then it could lead to other things. Like I'm telling you, sister, he may not verbally tell you that, he may not say nothing, but that's not saying that it will not come to his mind. Even if the woman is unattractive, if the woman is unattractive and her and this man continue to talk to one another, he's gonna start looking at that woman another way and wondering what would it be like to be physically intimate with that woman. Some of you women don't believe that, but it's true. Some of you sisters out there, you say that a man is you got this man as your best friend, and you say he's your best friend, and you believe it to this day. And I'm telling you, and I'm not telling you to do this, but just put this in mind. If you went to that man's house that you call your friend and you just had a trench coat on and open that trench coat, that man that you say your friend, majority out of 10 men, and I'm being generous, maybe 2 or 3 of the men may close the coat back up and say, don't do that. Maybe. But the other ones that you call your friend, you open that coat up for a man, you done went over his house and you his friend, you're going to see how much the friend he is to you. Because you see, it's going to be on you. That's how he's going to view it. It's on you. You came to my house with and opened up that coat and you had that little Victoria's Secret stuff on. You ain't have nothing at all. And you're going to see just how much that man is your friend. You playing with fire. Or if he come over to your house and you say something suggested to him, you're going to see how much he's your friend. It's harder. I didn't say it's impossible, but it's harder for a man just to view a woman as just friends. That's why, like over in the Middle East, majority of the time, the men stay separate from the women. And a lot of time, if you notice over in the Middle East, all women, they cover themselves up. Most of the time, they just may have their eyes. There's a reason why they're doing it. And you think it's a control factor. It's not a control factor because they know the nature of men. What the Western world really don't understand. You see, the Western world think it's a control mechanism. That's why a lot of times the guys stay from the woman that much, from interacting, unless it's their wives or their family members, because they know what could happen. But in the Western world, it's so lackadaisy, and that's why a whole bunch of stuff go down. There's a lot of men and women that were just friends, and then they start sleeping together. But they call themselves just friends, and they didn't think nothing was going to happen. You introduce some alcohol or something, or somebody hurt, and somebody needs some counseling, and somebody come meet and say, and you talk about how you got hurt. The next thing you know, you're looking at each other, you start kissing, and the next thing you know, clothes going off. And then you could develop a sexual soul tie with your friend. There's some people say that there's this thing called friends with benefits. There ain't no such thing as friends with benefits. Because you see, friend with benefit mean that you doing friendly thing and you could either, but you still having sex. That's not no benefit. Friends with benefit. So when anytime somebody said friend with benefit, they implying that sex taking place in whatever this arrangement. Some people call it what some people call it? Complicated. All that crazy stuff out there. There's nothing complicated about a relationship. You either single, you married, you divorced, or you're a widow. Ain't no such thing as complicated. Again, you either single, you married, you divorced, or you're a widow. Complicated, that's a bunch of crap. Complicated mean that one of the party or both of them agree they have an open relationship. So when somebody said complicated, that means that they're open. And the person that they're in a relationship with might not even know that they're in a complicated relationship. So my brother and sister, I hope that tonight I open you up to something. And I hope that I made some points that can help you, brothers and sisters. Beware of the sexual soul tie because it's real. You better be careful who you're sleeping with because you exchanging stuff besides the body fluid, you're changing thing, and then it could get a hold on you for years, and you thinking about that person on and on, and here she gone on with here's her life, and you wait for that phone to ring, or you wait for that text, and you're gonna tie those strings back together. So be careful, my brother. Be careful, my sister. If you have any question, you can go ahead and put wait right there and put your question in or comment. Just put wait and put your question on your comment, or you can get your plate, your carry out plate, and go home. We'll go wherever you're gonna go and share this with some more family members and friends, my brother and sister. Okay, and you can encourage your brothers, your friends, or other family members. They need to start coming to the dinner table so they can get some of the good soul food for the soul. I love you, brothers. I love you, sister. I hope that you all have a good night. And Lord willing, you will probably see me tomorrow. Okay, peace out.